Now, this is an amazing product. I found this at Deal Hunters. I had no idea what it was. It looked interesting. It had tulle on it. You know how I love tulle in the garden, and wire, and well, I figured I can do something with it. And something I did. The first thing I did was look it up. It's a fly catcher, and I guess because they're somewhat disposable, they're really cheap. But I know what I can do with it, and it's going to last for a pretty long time. You're supposed to put it out in the stables or around horses and put a little bowl underneath, and then the flies go in there, and theoretically they go up instead of sideways, and you catch flies and then you dispose of them. Well, I'm not going to use it for flies. If the flies are trapped in there, and it's a fly trap, well, maybe we can trap something else in there and keep the flies out, right? So I'm going to show you a bunch of different methods on how we can set this up. The first thing I'm going to have to do is cut the bottom. Now, I did test that hoop. See that hoop? That holds the bowl. Well, it holds a lot of different size food containers too. We're going to cut that off. We don't need it. And I also unhooked the hoop from one of the wires. There were 3 wires that holds that hoop that holds a bowl, theoretically. We're going to put something else in there instead. This thing. This is a food container I painted up. There's one that's not painted. These are large sour cream or cottage cheese containers. So they're free when you buy it anyways, right? Now, I unhooked it, like I said. I used my pliers, and it's still hooked on by the other 2 wires. And now we're going to cut it where we can slide the bowl in there, our food container. And then what we're going to do is drape the tulle down. This is fantastic. These things sell for between $2 and $3 each, depending on how many you buy. I'm going to tell you, can I make them for that price? Maybe if I got all the wire I needed, but the time that would be involved, oh no. Even when the tulle wears out, if it gets holes in it, we can drape more tulle on it. And I always have the link underneath. You get 54 inches wide, 40 yards long for $10. My goodness, I would drape it differently and make it easier. But look at this right now. See how I'm unhooking it? I can put a lettuce in there, and of course I can plant the lettuce directly in there, and then I can drape the tulle down. Now, you do have to kind of work with it a little bit, the way this is, but that's okay. I love this. We can hang it out on a balcony, a deck, in the garden, off a tree, anywhere you want. I'm going to use those clothes racks from Walmart because you get them for $10. You can hang a whole bunch of them, and I bought a whole bunch of them. I love them, and of course, I'm going to go ahead and tag it so you can go look at it. You can't get it any cheaper. If they were selling those clothes racks for plants, it would be 5 times the amount. But because they're selling it for something you put in a laundry room, I paint them up. They look fantastic, and they're only like about $10. Now I'm just kind of pulling the tulle down, the netting, around the pot so no insects will get in there. And look at that. You can hang this outside and no bugs are going to get your lettuce. Is that not wonderful? And it's just too cheap to try to even make. But you'll have the skeleton of it if the tulle breaks down to drape more tulle on. Now, if you don't want to paint the containers and you don't want to look at them knowing that there was food in there, you can get a pair of cheap leggings at the thrift store. I see them all the time. Won't matter what they look like. Cut them up and you slide the fabric over the food containers. I did a whole video on that a while ago. And you get the color and the style you like. Is that not cool? And just trim them up, and now your container doesn't have to be painted, and it will look really cool when you hang it up in this fly catcher. But like, look at that. But we're not using it as a fly catcher. We're going to grow in it. Now I've got another method that I tried, and I absolutely love this. You can get Velcro real cheap anywhere and everywhere. Walmart, Dollar Tree, Target, everybody's got it, even the hardware stores. And I cut them in half because they were too wide. Now what I'm doing is I'm opening the seam where the tulle was put on by the manufacturer, and we're going to just kind of open it up. Now you'll see as I go what I'm doing. I could cut a hole in it, but since there is a seam there where they stitched it, I'm just going to kind of cut the threads open a little bit and make a hole there in the seam itself. Take your time, because we don't want to just tear it all open, because I think we can put this together really neat, where we'll be able to do it a little differently than the first one I did. Now with the first one we made, we just have to put it on the table, slip it out. I'll show you that when we're done with all this, how easy it is to do it on a table. But we're going to do this one in case you want to not take it off where it's hanging because it's not that heavy. It's a small container, so even the soil and the plants won't be a lot of weight. But with this, we can leave it hanging up and we can get inside of it. It will depend on what you're growing. If you're going to do lettuce and you're just going to leave it, well, then you could do it the first way. Well, you don't have to do anything, but just put your container in there. If you're going to grow something, let's say parsley, cilantro, or some sort of herb, where you're going to be harvesting, let's say every day or every other day, then we can do it this way. It's a little extra work, but it's not much at all because we're not going to sew. I'm taking the Velcro. I made 2 strips. It will go on one side and the other. It doesn't matter how you put it on because we're just going to pinch it together. This particular one had a stickiness to it. Kind of made it harder for me, but that's just the way it is. So it had to peel and stick. But I'm going to put that on where it's going to stay on. I don't trust the peel and stick, especially if we're going to have it outside. It's going to get wet, and with the weather, it's going to probably unstick. So what am I going to do now? My regulars already know, but first we're going to put the other side on so it matches. So you just take your time because this is a one-time thing. You're going to put it on the tool. I use this also for a lot of lids out in the garden, Velcro, and it works really good to hold flags on, to create shade. There's just so much we can do with Velcro. But I don't want to sew, which you can sew if you want to. I am going to staple it with my paper stapler. Oh, I love these. I have 3 of them. I've got them all over the place. It's a regular paper stapler, but they call it a pliers. And this way you're just squeezing it. You're not having to push something on a table. Oh my goodness, this is my go-to all over the garden. So I'm just stapling on all the Velcro. Better than sewing, at least for this project. And then when we want to close it, we're just going to push the Velcro together. And when you want to get in to get something out from the plant that's growing there, some herb probably, you're going to just open it up and leave it hanging right where it is. Talk about convenience. Talk about easy. Talk about it's not worth trying to make this. This has worked fantastic. Look at this. You want to staple it on the top and staple it on the bottom because we don't want the tool to tear. So this way, if it's stapled on the top and bottom, you're just going to open the middle up to put your hand in. If you want to service the whole thing, you just put it down on the table and you're going to lift the container out. But this is just to grab something. So now I'm just making sure I've got enough staples. And I'm going to go, like I said, on the bottom too. We're push it together and then put a little staple there. It's just to kind of keep it secure. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But I really do like this. I think I'm going to have half of them with the Velcro and half without, because either way is really easy. Now I'm going to go over how I set this one up with the fabric. I know this is kind of a long video, but there's so many things we can do with this wonderful contraption. I'm going to make a hole on the bottom of this food container. It's a cottage cheese container. I'm going to fill it with soil and try to do it neater than me. Now I'm going to put in some red romaine lettuce, just a few. There's like 50 seeds in there. I've already planted some early in the spring, months ago. Now we're going to put just a few in there because I really only want 1 or 2 plants growing. And now what you do is you push it up through that large hoop on the top, and then you're going to hold on to it through the tool, the netting there, and you're going to drop it on that smaller hoop underneath through it. And it won't go all the way through, so that's what's going to hold it. And then you're going to pull the tool down. And I unhooked only one of the hooks. There's 3 hooks there. There it is. Now I took it outside. This is hanging up under the gazebo on the deck. And you can see the tool is pulled down. And now I'm going to let it hang there. And what's wonderful is you water it with a watering can right through the tool. Couldn't be any easier. Oh my goodness. She like, come on, let's get that lettuce growing. Or she's actually telling me to be patient. It takes time. I'm looking for lettuce. Tell me to be patient. Well, now it's been a few days. Oh my goodness. I see green. All right, let's take it out. I need an extra hand. So now you would unhook it and you would sit it there. I don't have to take it out. You can see through. I won't have to lift it out, but you see through? I see a couple of them. There's a couple of them. Okay, I'm gonna have to take it out. Let's take it out. Okay, I will need 2 hands, so because I'd have to lift it above. Okay, hold on, because I gotta lift it above the ring. I don't know if I can do it that way or not. I'll lift the tool out. I gotta unhook it first. Where's the one? I only have one that unhooks. This one unhooks. And now, I'll just take it out. Let's take a look. I've got that little lettuce growing. I've got one there. It's only been like 3 days. So I don't know how many are going to grow, but I'll tell you. I only put a few seeds in there. And if only 2 grow, that would be absolutely perfect. We'll hang it back up. Open this up. I sit it down because I got a nice table here, so it's much easier. Pull the tool down. It's a beautiful day today. Hook this up. I don't know if you can see that. See, this has to hook onto the ring. I'm just going to hook it up. It's on. Now it's ready to hang. And that's all there is to it. I want to show you one more thing, but you can put fabric on here. Flags, fabric, and I just use these paper binders that I use all over, and you can just put it there, wrap it around. This is a short piece, but you can get longer pieces. And then look how nice that is. Now it creates a little shade for your plants if you feel you need some shade. Another way of covering the food containers, and I'm perfectly fine with just letting the food containers fly in the wind and show that they are food containers. You can use like a contact paper. I actually got these at Dollar Tree, reduced for $1. But you can stick on anything you want so there's no painting. It is very easy to paint them, but you do it the way you want. I'm just trying to throw some ideas out because this is another way of doing it. I did this in multiple pieces since it's tapered. But I think it looks really cute outside. What do you think? How are you going to do yours if you do it? So I'm hoping I gave you ideas on how to plant plants all year long and have them protected from insects, especially for small gardens if you've got something on a patio or a deck. Is this not cool? And that is the clothes rack painted green. And if you get these adjustable plant hangers, which I use for the hummingbirds all over, you can squeeze more in between and have them at different levels. So tell me what you think. I'm going to be so anxious as I read through the comments because you know what? I've already got more ideas on how I'm going to use these hangers because these fly catchers are going to be magnificent for growing plants. And these are adjustable, so if it's too wide, you think, well, I got a small space, you can adjust both sides and tuck it in and just pull them out when you need them. So with that, have a wonderful day and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye.